Assalamualaikum dear students, and welcome to the 55th session of the KIPS Distance Learning Program Current Affairs Newspaper Roundup session. I am your host Shahrukh Haider, and today we are going to see what kind of developments in the corona vaccine have we seen around the world, and what kind of hopes can we have on this vaccine, whether it will be able to protect us from a second or a third wave of coronavirus, and whether a new normal, a world without a pandemic, is within reach. These are critical questions that we're going to try to see in today's lecture. So it's quite clear that the second wave of COVID-19 is in full swing all around the world, and the impact is potentially going to be even higher than the first wave, as we have seen in previous pandemics. The second pandemics is almost always more lethal and more overwhelming than the first wave is. But let's hope that does not happen. Unfortunately, the coming cold and the increasing cold is only going to exacerbate the rapid spread of the coronavirus around the world, and perhaps the second wave could definitely be more destructive, because the first wave came in December, when at least 3 months of winter had already passed. The world economy was finally, recovering a little because of the international efforts to contain the spread of the virus and reopening of economies and businesses and industries and different sectors of economy. But the second wave has once again completely blunted the growth that we saw in a post-first wave economic situation. So the need for a vaccine today is more sharp than it has ever been. So what does essentially vaccines do in the first place? This is an important question that should be cleared first of all. So basically, vaccines create immunity inside the human body against the viral infection, the viral pathogen that it is designed to counter. It does that by creating a primary response in the human body, where the human body, when that virus enters and the human body is affected by that virus, the human body is immediately able to identify that virus and destroy it using its own antibodies, which are the body's defense mechanisms. Whereas if there is no vaccine and a new disease comes, then the human body takes a certain amount of time before it is able to recognize that virus and create an antibody which can destroy it. But if using a vaccine you have been able to create those antibodies in the first place, then the virus simply cannot create infection in you, because it is destroyed before it can create infection in you, because the antibodies that will destroy it are already created in your body because of the vaccine. In some cases, vaccines also help in stopping the contraction of virus in the first place. So let's look at the ground realities of the coronavirus vaccine. So the first contender, the most important one that you probably have heard a lot about, is the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine. It has been shown to have a 90% success rate in a population size of 43,000 voluntary people. And the biggest problem perhaps with this vaccine is that it must be kept in temperatures at least minus 70 degrees or below that, which is an obvious drawback and a big problem, especially for developing countries who simply do not have the kind of ultra cold refrigerators that are needed to create the environment to keep this vaccine alive and safe. And moreover, this vaccine also requires 2 shots to be taken in a time span of 2 weeks, which definitely increases the cost and complexities when it comes to the logistics and distribution of this coronavirus vaccine. And moreover, this vaccine is still in its 3rd phase of clinical trial, so it will be at least another 3 months before it is ready to be dispatched globally. And finally, 80% of the shots of this vaccine have already been pre-booked by majority developed countries around the world, and it is priced as $37, which is significantly expensive, especially for cash-stripped developing economies which have suffered the brunt of the coronavirus vaccine, such as Pakistan or India or other smaller developing countries in the Middle East or in Africa. Now the second contender for the coronavirus vaccine is the Oxford vaccine. It has been shown to have a 95% success rate, albeit in a much smaller population size, and it needs to be kept at 5 to 18 degrees Celsius, which is much more doable and much more feasible for majority of the countries around the world, especially because the winter is coming and the air temperature is generally within that range during the winters, even in warm parts of the world. Which is why this would become more accessible than the Pfizer vaccine, and one of the other good things about this vaccine is also that only one shot is needed as compared to the 2 shot in a 2-week span of the Pfizer vaccine. And but the problem is that this Oxford vaccine is still in earlier phases of its development, and it will take a much longer time to be deployed around the world than the Pfizer's vaccine. So right now the only good alternative, the best possible way that we have right now is the Pfizer vaccine, but it has too many problems, complexities, and a huge infrastructure is needed in order to make the deployment and a successful vaccination possible. The Oxford vaccine is priced at $47, which is higher than the Pfizer vaccine, but there isn't much difference because the developing countries simply cannot afford either of the two. So the third contender is obviously the Russian vaccine, which is kind of a joke really, because there are no publicly available clinical trials of the vaccine, and there is no publicly available information about the effectiveness or clinical trials or scientific basis of that vaccine. And obviously we simply cannot trust Putin's word that his own daughter took it, so it's safe, simply not reliable. So the Russian vaccine is really not a good contender in the race for a coronavirus vaccine in the world. So that brings us to the case of Pakistan and how Pakistan can acquire and potentially vaccinate its population against the coronavirus. So recently you might have heard that Prime Minister Imran Khan has allocated $100 million for purchasing coronavirus vaccines. That roughly comes down to 25 to 30 million vaccine shots, which is really less when compared to the population of Pakistan, which is above 230 million people strong. So that is a real problem, because then when you have a limited amount of vaccine, the problem arises how will you decide who to deploy the vaccine on? Who should receive vaccination and who should not receive vaccination? This would become a major ethical problem for doctors, for hospitals, and furthermore the deployment and the distribution of the vaccine will definitely be a challenge, because Pakistan does not have a wide distribution structure and network when it comes to the public health system. Perhaps you can utilize the polio workers network in Pakistan for the deployment of the coronavirus vaccine as well, but that is still yet to seen. When it comes to the effective vaccination of Pakistan's population, the challenges are very real, and we are not entirely sure how these challenges will pan out once the vaccine enters Pakistan. But that could still take 6 to 8 months, which means the next summers. Before that, the only best defense against the coronavirus that we have is basically the standard operation procedures or SOPs that the government has developed, and micro lockdowns and smart lockdowns that we have seen in the past. Otherwise, a vaccine is still quite out of reach, and we shouldn't be very excited about it, but we should hope at the same time that things might improve. Thank you very much for your patience. Allah Hafiz.